right, here we are. It's your old pal EMac, joined by one Jake Hari, as we're getting ready for MLB Live Before Lock. Not quite up till lock. We're going till 6:15 tonight. Lock is at 640. That is 640 on DraftKings and FanDuel. If you are playing on Yahoo, presenting sponsor, it is at 605. They're including the Atlanta and Washington game. That is the differential there. That gets them 7, gets us 6. Jake, and we all may lose a game here. Who knows what's going on with New York? A lot of rain in the forecast. I did not really, it's hard to tell. So depending on which models you're looking at, and the model I look at, of course, is weather.com, because that's all I have. But by looking at that, it seems that there is a path to play, but that could change at any point in time. So that's what makes it tough, because it's all about Garrett Cole. But more importantly, Jake, how are you doing? I think this is what, our third MLB show of the season. That's it.
I know it's been a really weird year. Yeah, I haven't gotten to hear your thoughts too often with all these other sports going on, and then we're adding another to the mix. I see you've got a Truly there.
So I do. This is in honor of Chris Baggs, although he likes the other kind. I forget.
Yeah, I didn't have any claws for
White Claws
Baggs, yes. But I got myself a little silver bullet here. We're not sponsored by Truly or Coors Light. But it is a very exciting time. So I'm happy to be doing this show. Maybe get your showdown NFL takes in person. Obviously, you did the article, and that's always one of our most popular articles of the week. So go check out EMac's article if you're looking to play some showdown. But good MLB slate. So I'm pretty excited, man. Fun time, and I love the NFL. Even though I don't do content for it, I really love watching you guys do it. And I think we've got some really awesome tools, so I take advantage of those.
All right, here is the free article. It is the lead article on the homepage that was for the showdown slate tonight. We, of course, are going to have a showdown show after us. We're going to also, prior to that, there will be NBA Live Before Lock. We've got you guys covered. This is just the first of many different pieces of content that are going to be just coming out like a tidal wave this NFL season. We have more contributors than ever before. We are covering the betting side, the DFS side, the season-long side. Everything you need, we have it here. So you'll definitely want to check all of that stuff out. And then let's see, what do we got going on? The big promo right now is the NFL Flash Sale. So you get a weekly pass of Awesemo NFL DFS for $5. Use the promo code Mahomes. See, for those of you that futzed around yesterday, it was just $3 yesterday. Now it's $5, and then it's going to be the regular price after 8:30. Don't wait on these things.
It was $1 on Labor Day, so you're really snoozing if you missed out on these deals. But we still got a good one. $5. That's 60. That's over 65% off. So you're getting a good deal. Try us out for a week. I'm sure you'll be back for more. And hopefully with some extra money in your accounts after this week. So pretty good deals we got going on right now.
Absolutely. And then free item of the day is the lineup builder, which Jake actually uses a lot when talking about hockey. I like it from time to time. Football is where I like to use it, especially on the sub slates, just to, as I'm bouncing around between the different sites, just to make sure that I'm not missing out on something. But today it is available for baseball, so I'm going to drop that into Slack for you. You may actually have to go get to it yourself, because I think if I'm logged in, they can see everything, right? Will my dropping the link work, or do you have to do anything special?
Let me see here. You should be able to drop the link in.
All right, so you guys will get that, and that's basically what it does is it helps you build your lineup. Haha, that's why it's called the lineup builder. But as you choose players, it gives you a rating, like a school grade rating, like A, B, C, D. And what it does is it takes the contrarian and it takes how you're doing with value. So it can give you an idea of what you're doing. And this is, one of those things that's like in the express package and it's here. It helps you understand what's going on with the other tools. Now, a lot of people are fancy like Jake and build their own spreadsheets that do all of this for them. But this is what that's doing. Jake and obviously Alex, because this is his stuff, and Josh and Adam, those guys just build this out on the back end. But this is the mechanics for those of us that don't have a complex Excel model. We can utilize this. So it's very helpful and it's fun. Plus, it also shows you chance of weather. It shows the projected runs. I believe those are Alex's projected runs. Is that correct?
Yeah,
not Vegas.
Yeah, his are going to differ a little bit from what you're going to see from your average Vegas site that has implied totals. So I would err on the side, obviously, of using Alex's. They're going to be a little bit different. They're going to already differentiate you. And those are baked into the projections. So those are the run totals that he is deriving his projections from that you'll find on the site.
All right, let's cruise through this. We've got 6 games. We've got the luxury of a little bit of time. We're still waiting on 2 lineups. That would be San Diego and the LA Dodgers. There are later games. We've got 2 6:40 games, a 7:05 game. That's the weather issue game. And then we've got 8:15, 9:10, and 9:40. So things are kind of spread out a little bit. I have set all my placeholder lineups for Baltimore game and later, just because I don't want to be in a mass panic here. For those of you recognizing from the behind me, not my usual site here or backdrop, I'm down in hotel land. I'm on hotel Wi-Fi, so I'm not sure what will happen if I try to run crunches and I have to bail on this. Let's see. We've got one good question that we'll use to lead off here in our premium Slack. So let me hop on over there. They're asking if you are scared of the weather, and I think we should definitely give it some strong consideration. Would you go to Sonny Gray as your cash pitcher of the night?
Yeah, I think the optimal play, as it is on most slates, but especially when there's weather, is just to wait as long as you can to make the call. Like, yeah, you're going to want to start your lineups with Cole if weather wasn't a thing, but if it's looking dicey, like if we've got, and this is another addition of being a premium member, we've got chance of postponement based on what Alex is seeing. He's putting his money behind it, so you should feel comfortable putting your money behind it as far as the chance of rain. But yeah, I think Sonny Gray would be the other option. Like if you are going to someone else, if you think it's just too risky, he would be the next guy. He's the guy I'm getting to in a lot of my tournament lineups. I try to avoid caring too much about pitcher ownership, as long as the pitcher's good in tournaments. So usually my highest.
Can you hear me, Jake?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I've frozen, so that's okay. I'm good. I'm good here. It just looks like it's Zoom, so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crapping out. I have a nice look that's frozen, and I'm sure we'll turn it into a meme. But in any event, I'm gonna just pop back out and pop back in for a second, Jordan, if that's okay with you. This will be a little easier for me. I'll be right back. You keep going on this one.
All right. Yeah, I'll keep going here. So, for cash, I'm like my top tournament pitchers usually line up with some of the better cash plays, some of the highest projected guys. If you want to go to Gray, if you wanted to go to Paddock, as a spend down option or to get off of Garrett Cole, that's perfectly fine. But again, I personally rely on the tools very heavily. And so I will be looking as late as possible. It's going to be a little bit tricky because the game is not going to, like, you're going to have to make the call 25 minutes before the game starts, and things can change, obviously. But yeah, right now I'm comfortable with Cole. But I would have if you're editing your DFS lineups, 5 minutes before lock time, 6:40 Eastern, or depending on what site you're playing on, I would be ready to make that swap. Because the weather could turn around here. I see you're back, EMac.
I'm back. I am back. Thank you, Jordan, for helping out there. I jinxed myself. Everything was going great here and all that, and now all of a sudden the hotel Wi-Fi hiccuped on me. So I even bought the expensive kind. So hopefully we'll keep going here throughout the show. So we should be good. I'm just double checking. I'm still on the right one, but there we are. Okay, so let's cruise through the slate here because that's more important than me having a nice camera frame. Our first game that we'll focus on, we have Jake Arrieta going against Sandy Alcantara. This is a slightly interesting one only because from the Miami side, they used up a bunch of their bullpen last night. They gave up 29 runs to Atlanta, which was the most runs scored, second most runs scored in the last 100 years. Which is last 120 years, because it was 2000 or 1900 until now. So that's just been like a disaster. Now the guy who took one for the team was Jordan Yamamoto. So he gave up, I don't know, like 9 runs. He came in after the starter. Then they went with the rest of their relievers, and I think they only used 3 or 4, but they also used a bunch the other day. So everybody's kind of been burned out a little bit. I'm curious to see what happens here. We used to like getting bullpen games. Now that everybody has the bullpen arms are much, much better. They don't have the guys that are going to go out there and absorb 3 or 4 innings and just, like I just said, take one for the team. When we get bullpen games now, it's not like it's the best thing, but I think it's a decent spot here for Philadelphia. On the other side, we have Jake Arrieta, and if we're going to lose that New York game, we're going to need to talk about him as a potential SP2. Jake smartly is playing on FanDuel today. He only has to find 1 pitcher. But for those of us looking at 2, Arrieta is going to be on the short list.
Yeah. So I did run my stuff for DraftKings as well, and added in ownership like I normally would if I was max entering on DraftKings. Obviously, I had Cole in there, so he's soaking up a lot of my SP1 ownership, but I still did get to a little bit of Arrieta, and it's just because it's cheap. And I mean, Arrieta doesn't really miss bats anymore. I mean, man, this guy's fallen off in the last 2 or 3 years, just fallen off a cliff since he had that really special year with the Cubs. I want to say it was like 15 or maybe the World Series year in 16, but he's not the same pitcher anymore. He is 6,800. And obviously I would get to a little bit more of him and look to spend up on bats if you wipe off one of the games on the slate, that being the Yankees game, and you wipe out. Right now I have 70% ownership going to Cole over on DraftKings, and then close to that on FanDuel as well. So I wasn't intentional, but I'm trying to play more over on FanDuel, just get familiar with 2 different sites. 2 pitcher sites, it's going to be difficult, but I still am getting to some Arrieta even with Cole still on the slate. And it doesn't have anything to do with Arrieta. He's just 6,800, and he's just another guy. And I play a spread out approach. Alcantara, we think he's actually a pretty decent pitcher. 12% swinging strike rate, near average chase rate. Like, I think he can get some strikeouts here. Still pitching in a good park. They need him to go deep into this game after last night's debacle. I prefer Alcantara. I got to about 3 times the field for talking about DraftKings, and he was definitely boosted by the top pitcher tool. He's coming up quite a bit under-owned on that. So he gets boosted up in my exposures, and I'm perfectly comfortable having 3 times the field with him if he's going to be under 10% here.
Yep, and so here we finally got my notes back up here. So basically I said last night the Marlins allowed 29 runs to Atlanta, second most since 1900s. I said things were consolidated with 3.2 innings from starter Pablo Lopez and Jordan Yamamoto. You had then ended up with Alex Vesia through 50 pitches, Josh A. Smith 29, Ryan Stanek came in for 12. He's pitched 2 days in a row now. They do have a bottom 3 bullpen there by most advanced metrics. So it's not great guys that are coming in. So this is one spot where I think I do like the Phillies. We've got Harper and Didi Gregorius as the top 2. Andrew McCutchen, Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, if you're going to go for a full stack here. I was looking for some differentiation. I thought Neil Walker might end up in the lineup. I guess it's going to be Alec Baum or maybe Adam Housley. That's going to be your differentiation play here if we're losing a game. And even if we're not, it's still going to be a tight squeeze here amongst different options. On the other side, going against Arrieta, Corey Dickerson at 3,000 on DraftKings, that seems like a steal of a price. We're hoping he runs into one, but if anybody can do it, it's him. And then you've got Matt Joyce, always a pinch hit risk, batting cleanup, 2,100. And I'm just double checking, making sure those are indeed DraftKings and not FanDuel prices. We don't a cleanup hitter batting for 2,100. What are we doing here? What's the world come to?
Yeah, kind of crazy how cheap these Marlins are. And this is a stack that I just am not going to get to as much as the field. They're overowned, and it's just because they're cheap. They make the rest of your lineup look really good if you fit in a couple of these guys in your lineups. And so that's the appeal, especially if you're building with an optimizer, or even if you're building with your just hand building. You throw in a 20.
Say bare hands. I know you were going to say bare hands.
Yeah, bare hands. Just with your hand. I don't know. It doesn't sound right. If you're hand building, is what I was going for here. It's been a long couple months with all these sports back. Joyce, 2,100, batting cleanup. Like, yeah, I would definitely have some of that over on DK, as well as Jazz Chisholm. I don't know how the syllables go there, but second base, shortstop eligible. I don't know that he's great, but he's getting ownership, and I was getting to a decent amount of him. As far as the full stack, though, just not going to get to nearly as much as the field as the Marlins. We're talking about DraftKings here.
All right, continuing along here, we've got Mike Kickham and Josh Fleming in our next game. This is the Red Sox at Tampa Bay. No issue with the weather there because this one would be in Tropicana Field, which of course is covered. We've got Fleming, who relatively young, if I remember correctly, but he has made, I want to say this will be his fourth start. He has done, allowed 3 home runs thus far. He has gone at least 5 innings in each of them, 5 and 3rd and 1, but that's pretty solid. He's gone 73, 74, 72 pitches. This is not the Boston Red Sox that we are used to seeing. This is the Boston Red Sox that are, like 14 games behind Tampa Bay, who's leading the way here in the AL East. So I think Fleming is most definitely in play. I'm a little hesitant with Kickham on the other side. He's the guy who had bounced around. What was his story? Basically, he's been up in the show 3 different times. Is still a rookie because he has less than 35 innings pitched, and he is 31 years old now. I think I mentioned this last night's podcast. This is the Crash Davis of pitchers. Are you interested at all in Mike Kickham? 44 and 48 pitches in his last 2 starts.
I think that's still too few. Even if you give him like 15 or 20 more. I mean, if you give him 20 more pitches, I suppose he could go 5 innings if he had an efficient start and went 65 pitches, but that's still a stretch. And that's like a pretty low percentage outcome. I think that he gets to 5 innings here. So I'm probably off Kickham. Alice doesn't have him projected very favorably. Same thing with Fleming, but he's, I think, at least in range for me, especially against this bad Red Sox team, especially as a near -200 favorite. There's probably a question of whether or not he's going to get to 5 innings to give himself a chance at a win. But just cheap, and he is a pretty big favorite. Usually these guys get priced up a little bit more, so I'm fine taking advantage of some of that value with Fleming and talking DraftKings specifically. That's not a guy that I'd be looking to on FanDuel. Looks like Fleming's getting a little bit of ownership. Nothing outrageous. There is another guy. I guess he's quite a bit more expensive. Guy for the Cubs, Alzolay, but I'm just getting up a little bit more into this mid-range or into the Alcantara range. So not getting to a lot of Fleming, not getting to really any of Kickham right now, and I'm not too disappointed here.
Moving along here, game 3. This is the weather game, 7 o'clock or 7:05 start in New York. We have Keegan Aiken, who is coming in at 6,700. He's gone about 80 pitches or so his last 2 outings, gets to go against the Yankees. These are the understudies for the Yankees, considering we have Mike Ford, Kyle Higashioka, and I butchered that name, but I tried, Thairo Estrada. Clint Frazier batting cleanup. Miguel Andujar has been promoted up from the bottom third of the lineup. He's batting 5th. This is a sketchy lineup. It's no Luke Voigt, and then obviously no Stanton and Judge, which really weakens this lineup. So nonetheless, they still have a 5.4 implied run total. I think that tells us a lot about Keegan Aiken. The other side, Garrett Cole was phenomenal against the Baltimore in his last start. Against him, I want to say he struck out like 10 or 11. He is a great pitcher. He is on pace to allow about 60 home runs, though, which would be an MLB record. But he is also striking out like a gazillion guys per inning. It all comes down to the rain here because that price at 10,300, very favorable.
Yeah, I think it's just the weather is the question here, and there's probably enough talk about it, like about this game on other shows, on our show. That's probably going to lower the Yankees ownership. So one thing you could do is, if you're worried about this game being postponed, but you still want a piece of it, is just do stack or nothing for the Yankees side. Mm-hmm. that's something that Tom and Alex do regularly when there's a question mark, or even if there is a percent chance of postponement risk in Alex's projections. If it's 25, if it's 50%, like the Yankees are one of the better stacks on the slate. 5.4 implied total. Like, yeah, you detailed that it's a watered down lineup, but it's still telling that they can bat Gary Sanchez sixth in a watered down lineup against the lefty. So still not too shabby. Not getting to Aiken, I think I will pass there. That's a little too cute, especially when you factor in the possibility of some weather here, and just cheaper guys that I like way better straight up. Yankees bats, I think I'm going to have a bunch of them, assuming that there's not a very high number in the projections as far as postponement risk. So Yankees top 2 stack for me right now. I'm hoping the weather gets some people off of them. Maybe we can capitalize there, get some decreased ownership.
Yeah, we don't have a number yet there. We just got an update 6 minutes ago, so they're probably still eyeballing it to see what's going on. And remember, we just put up the postpone percentage. This may not postpone. The question kind of becomes: are they going to be willing to wait around until 8:30 or 9 to start this? Because that's when it looks like wide open clear. Problem is, these games really don't count in the playoffs for these guys that much.
Yeah, and
I say that hesitantly.
People are alluding to the weathermen, like DFS weathermen. Like, yeah, they can. I'm sure they can be helpful. As far as I know, they're not really putting that much money on the line, and Alex is. So, at the risk of sounding like a complete company man, like, just look at it. It's another reason why it's probably a good idea to, if you're serious about playing MLB DFS and having access to like really quality tools, not that you can't get them elsewhere, but the postponement risk is huge for nights like tonight. And it doesn't happen every night, but sometimes there are games that are questionable, and going with the guy that's putting tens of thousands of dollars on the line and making the call at lock, I think is the way that I tend to go to. And he just popped in chat and said the Yankees game looks pretty solid so far. So that's good enough for me for now, at least. We got an hour until lock. Maybe things change, but
yeah. And where things could go sideways, this is game 1 of a 4-game series in New York between these teams. So they're playing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It would not be that hard to manufacture a doubleheader here. So many things beyond our control are in play right now. And I just wanted to check. Baltimore has a 9% chance of making the playoffs. The Yankees have a 90%. So even if I was trying to see if this was like a getaway day or something like that, because I've lost track of all time now that we're in a pandemic and I'm not working this week, and there was a holiday in there somewhere, if I remember correctly. So I've sort of lost track. Every day's been a weekend for the last couple for me. So this is day 1 of a 4-game homestand. So there's going to be ample opportunity to make it up if they so choose to go that route. Reminder, last day of the season is the 27th. We're 17 days away from that.
Is it really? I mean, I know it's going to be a sprint, but it's already snuck up on me. Yes. Like, I feel like I've played like 10 MLB slates, and I haven't been playing every day, just trying to like keep on track of hockey and all the other stuff going on. But man, it's nice that it's a sprint, but it's even quicker than I thought.
So it just occurred to me that we're not going to be on air. We'll be off air before lock, so I don't have to worry about setting up my team. So
yeah, you're good. You're good
on that. So let's talk about this though. So here's what Jake mentioned, and this is very helpful. So sort of how I approach this, let's say we think it's going to be potential for delay or even postponement. So what I'll do is I'll come in and say, how many lineups do I want to have Garrett Cole in? And I will lock him, and I will make that number of lineups. And then that will be that set of crunches. And then within that, I'll also say, okay, of that, what percent do I want to play the hitters in these games? And then what I will do is everything else I build, I will uncheck the Yankees. So what this does is, if I'm willing to build 5% stacks of the Yankees and, a third of my lineups with Cole, I don't have to worry about them sneaking their way in as 2-mans or whatever into some other lineup and ruining a perfectly good lineup if they postpone. I still get the same percentage I want, but it's specific lineups that have it. So if one goes, they all go, right? That's what you want. You don't want holes in your lineups here and there, because there's nothing more frustrating than that. So that's the step we were to talk about how Alex, and now I don't know how they go manually build it out, but that's what I do. So it gets the same result. And that way you're just, hey, let's use a fun word, quarantining the players into a specific set of lineups.
I like it. Very 2020 phrasing there. So
indeed.
With it. Yeah. I mean, I think if you're worried about the weather, just as a general rule in MLB DFS, and especially on a 6-game slate, like if people are going to get off of this game, it's not a bad idea to throw a couple of Yankee stacks in a large field tournament. And if, you don't need to go balls to the walls, 100% Yankee stacks, but if you got a couple in there and, you worry about missing out, they are still a good stack. It's not like they have a 3 implied total and you're just throwing them in there to try to get them at 0.1%, but I think they were already coming in at less than what they should have, or they were right around where they should have in top stack tool. But in some of these tournaments, they're going to be even lower as people get scared off.
Yeah, and we're still 1 hour out, so we'll have a couple more updates for that. Reminder, we're going to pop off out of here at 6:15. We do have the NBA Live Before Lock show, and then after that, we will have NFL Live Before Lock. We're here. This is it. I thought it would never come under today's circumstances, but here we are. We've got a game kicking off tonight at 8:20. All sorts of goodness here on Awesemo. Reminder, you've got that NFL flash sale. Promo code is Mahomes, as in Pat Mahomes. This ends at 8:30 tonight. You get 1 week of all NFL access for $5. As I was saying yesterday, this was just $3 with that promo code. Jake was saying over the holiday it was $1. The longer you wait, the more it goes up, and then it's going to be full price before you know it. So hop on in here. It's just $5.
So I may have not heard you when you said this. If you did, so I apologize. But just to give another quick plug, if you go to the Awesemo_com Twitter account, you do have a pretty massive giveaway going on right now for an Awesemo yearly pass, $250 value. And all you have to do is say, will Pat Mahomes or Deshaun Watson have more passing yards tonight? That's it. So answer that with one of the two. You got a close to 50-50 shot, depending on where the Vegas passing props are, maybe 55-45, something like that. But yeah, just answer that question. You got to be following Awesemo_com and Awesemo NFL, and then retweet and like it per usual.
All right, so we've got a little note here from one of our favorite trolls, Seth, also known as Finn Hater. He would like to let everybody know that there is a Millie Maker winner in chat willing to answer questions. Mm-hmm. He did, in fact, win a Millie Maker.
He got first place in.
He got first place
with $1 million first. Is how we can say that, and that's not a lie. What he took home that night was a little bit less.
A little shy of $1 million.
Few shy, maybe like, what was that? 997,000 shy or so. But hey, he's a millionaire maker. So congrats on the oversized check. So.
All right, here we go. On to our next game. You said not like they have a 3 implied run total. Well, hey, both teams in our next game start with the 3 implied run total here. We have we've got, why is it not showing up on my thing? It's Azalea and Adbert, Azalea, and Sonny Gray. And I'm looking at their pitching props. So I thought Azalea had one. He does not. But Sonny Gray over here on Odds Checker or Odds Shopper has a implied or an over-under prop on his strikeouts. What do you think that is? What is your guess?
5.5.
It is 5.5. Nice job. With even better, the vigorish, the juice about equally split on both sides there. So no real advantage one way or the other. But the advantage is, if you guys haven't noticed, if you go to Awesemo.com, look across the top, we've got Awesemo football. We've got Awesemo Podcast Network. We've got the Awesemo Odds, which is all sports betting stuff. Lots of free content on there as the betting markets are beginning to ramp up. And then we have Odds Shopper. So what that does is it takes half a dozen different sports books, aggregates them together, and it gives you all of the different odds for the various props, player bets, futures, game totals, money lines, all that stuff in one spot. And then you can shop. That's why it's called Odds Shopper. Find the better odds or number for what you're looking to do. And that is where, you got to be a nit is what I did never play poker, but the term coming out of the poker world is being a nit. You got to be real picky. You got to find every little edge you can if you want to be profitable. And one of those ways is shopping for the odds. You can get yourself over the course of a year a 2 to 5% difference there. And when you consider I forget his name now, but the greatest sports bettor of all time, I was reading an article about him in a Vegas Dave article. I think it was it Forbes that put this out? I don't know. Haralabov Vulgaris had retweeted it, so I read it. But they said the greatest sports bettor of all time, they think won just shy of 58% for his career, which is phenomenal. But that's barely winning, right? So if you can get a little 2% for yourself there, that helps dramatically. And it really, that's all pure profit is what it comes down to. So check out OddsShopper. I'll drop that link in chat there. But even if you don't have sports betting, it's always fun because there's a lot of application here for DFS when it comes to player props, especially as we get into football.
Yeah, OddsShopper is awesome. So like if you're betting on a game, have an account on multiple books, especially if it's legal. Not advocating for any offshore sites. My friends, they tend to use those because it's not legal here in Minnesota just yet.
Allegedly, they use them. You've never actually seen them. You see them holding their phone and talking about things, but you haven't seen anything.
Yeah. So as far as I know, they're using legal sites, but yeah, it's just great. Just get the best price. Like in DFS, you wouldn't play a guy for $7K if you could get him for $6,500. So it's the same type of thing. Like grind out those micro edges. It's really tough to beat sports betting. Very few do, but even if you're entertaining, like save yourself some money, save yourself some losses at the very least. Even if you don't know what you're doing, get the best line. That's what OddsShopper does.
All right, 3 games to go. It is in the low 60s in Chicago, about 80% humidity. We have a breeze from 10 to 15 miles an hour coming in from center field. Sonny Gray, 9,600 here on DraftKings. Adbert Alzolay is 7,700. Guys in chat says he wanted to know, Jake, do you boys like Alzolay? That was do you boys like Mexico? Love that. Super Troopers. Love that movie.
So per usual, I don't get the reference, but I'm sure.
Oh no, you don't know Super Troopers?
No, I don't know anything. I don't. I've just watched sports for the last 10 years.
That movie came out in 2001. I think you were alive then. I was
a young kid in like first grade then, but never got around to seeing that. So
this hurts. You don't have your friends who aren't really betting offshore accounts aren't really stoners, are they?
I reserve the right to not talk or not answer, whatever it is. I plead the fifth. I think that's what it is. Don't want to incriminate myself or them.
Well, that's usually a good movie to watch when you're doing those sorts of activities. But in any event, do you like Adbert Alzolay?
Yeah, I do. So he's actually one of my highest exposed pitchers on DK. Again, I'm more focused on FanDuel tonight, but I did get to a lot of him. I got to about 3x the field again on him. Looking at FanDuel, assuming Cole is in, I don't think I'm going to get to much Alzolay. Let me see here if I got to him at all. I got to 4 shares. Or I'm sorry, 4%, six shares out of 150, which equals 4%. Alzolay, high K percentage, low implied total against him. He's not the favorite, so I guess that's one thing against him. It's just really favorable weather in Wrigley Field and a guy that can get strikeouts. Like those two things go very well together, regardless of the lineup you're facing. Obviously, Cincinnati has some really scary bats in this lineup. I think 1 through 5, they're very strong. I don't know about the bottom of this lineup though, so hopefully he can eat up some Ks against those guys. Keep the ball in the yard, and 15-mile-per-hour winds blowing straight in it gives him obviously a better chance of doing that. So I like it. I'm on Alzolay, and then I think we're both going to be on Gray as well.
Yeah, especially it's going to come down to the Garrett Cole weather. But yeah, Sonny Gray is going to be a nice option here. He's someone that he can get into his own head, which is a problem. And we've seen him be fragile quite a bit. Coming off his last start, hopefully he shakes that off. He literally got his ass kicked. He gave up 8 total base runners, 6 of them scored, no home runs. He managed to make it just 2 out. St. Louis just absolutely killed him. That's almost one of those where you're like, was he tipping his pitches? Was something going on? I don't know. But here we are. It's another day here. And outside of that game, he's had an absolutely phenomenal season. So with the weather here, with his strikeout upside, and let's see, like for perspective, yes, even if let's completely throw out that last game, he still has 55 strikeouts in 41 and 2/3 innings. That's outstanding. That's like top 10 K per 9 rate. So he's definitely amazing for that one. I don't mind Brian Goodwin at the bottom of the order there for a cheapy one-off. I think he's batting 7th or 8th. Jake, there on DraftKings, that can really open up some flexibility for you. But I agree, the bottom third of this Reds lineup is not that exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I got to a decent amount of Cincy stacks on FanDuel. I'm assuming though that's just because of their pricing, and because I'm trying to hammer in as much Cole as possible. Mm-hmm. Again, that might change very quickly after we get off the show here. Once I make the final call. But for now, they go pretty well with the Cole lineup as one of your stacks. Someone in the chat said something about I can have every stack with 150 lineups. I guess on a 6-game slate I can, but it's not actually that simple. There's actually a little bit more that goes into it than just playing every combination. You would need like hundreds of thousands of combinations to cover every combination, but anyways, that's probably a conversation for another day. I like the Reds a little bit over on FanDuel. They're not a top stack for me. They're more of a filler, again, just because of their pricing.
Definitely makes sense. All right, 2 to go here. We've got, 17 minutes. Reminder, there's going to be NBA Live Before Lock after us, and then there will be NFL Live Before Lock heading into, I believe it's the boss man himself, Alex Baker, will be on heading into kickoff tonight. We're here. We have a flash sale that goes till 8:30 tonight. So you've got a couple hours left on this one. But if you have not jumped in yet for there's all the sports going on at once. This is just wild. For NFL, $5 gets you the full 1-week package. That gets you through next Thursday. So that gets you all the weekend stuff. There's doubleheader on Monday nights. We've got every team in play over the next 4 days. This is going to be a lot of fun. Promo code Mahomes gets you that for just $5. Our next game here, I think we just got the lineup. I've got too many windows. Oops, I switched it over here. We have San Francisco at San Diego. Chris Paddock will be going against Trevor Cahill. Cahill's facing down a 5.3 implied run total from one of his former teams here. Paddock, on the other hand, disappointed a few times, but this is a nice matchup for him going against San Francisco. They have just a 3.8 implied run total. We've seen some of the lowest run totals on this slate on multiple teams, considering there's only 12 of them in action, Jake. But for this one, I don't mind a little bit of a leverage play with some of these San Francisco guys up at the top, particularly Mike Yastrzemski, who's still expensive on DraftKings, but that hopefully keeps his popularity suppressed. But on the other side, I got to go back to Paddock here because, yes, he has disappointed us in his last couple starts, but he's still a talented young guy. This is a good matchup for him, and it's reasonable weather there. It's not. This is all lining up where he is a tier below Gray and, in my opinion, obviously Garrett Cole. But if we lose Cole, he becomes kind of 1B to Sonny Gray's 1A.
Yeah. I mean, so it's going to depend on what actually happens. What actually happens with Garrett Cole. But I think he's a pretty good consolation if you do have to make that pivot. 24% K rate for Paddock this season. And the Giants, like last couple of years, they were a team that we just play any pitcher against, especially with the 3.8 implied total. This season versus righties have actually been really good. 115 WRC plus. They're not striking out very often. 21.5% rate against righties. So that's a little bit concerning, especially with Paddock coming off a couple of subpar starts. But players are going to have starts like that throughout the course of the season. I guess 2 out of his last 3. He had a really good one.
We didn't play him in Colorado, but he held him in check. No earned runs, 2 runs total, 8 strikeouts in 6 innings.
And in those starts too, like, I mean, he had a 45% O swing rate in one of them, 35.4% in the other one. So he was getting chases, he was getting swinging strikes. Oakland's a really tough matchup. The Seattle one, I don't really know how to explain that outside of just things didn't go his way, but I think he's okay here. 9K, I'm not thrilled to play him, especially with the ownership that we've got. I prefer Gray if I could only have one of them, but he's $1,100 cheaper, so that obviously matters here.
All right. Anything for Cahill? 6,600. He's going to kind of be, I don't know, like a 10% guy for me, just because I'm going to need to do that on DK. He has lasted 2 2/3, 3 1/3, 5 1/3 in his last 3 starts. He has allowed only 2 home runs so far this season, but that's just over 17 innings. He's been working his way back from injury. The endurance is theoretically up to the 65 to 70 pitch range. We'll have to see what happens, but San Diego got even better, or pardon me, Slam Diego got even better during the trade deadline. They're picking up Austin Nola and Mitch Moreland and who they get, Castro. So they've got a whole new catching platoon. They're a tough lineup. They're going for it this year. Plus they got Clevenger. They're definitely putting all their eggs in the basket for this one. So I'm not really excited by Cahill at all. Where do you have the pod squad as a stack tonight?
On FanDuel, they are my number 1. So I'm going to be heavily invested in the Padres tonight. They're pretty popular, like going throughout the lineup, especially over on FanDuel. But I'm getting to a bunch of Grisham leading off. It looks like he's not getting a ton of ownership at that price. And then, they're going for it. Like you said, they're trying to stack up this team to make a run here. Cahill, a guy who has a propensity to get blown up as much as anyone. He's struggled with walks for basically his entire career. And that's really awesome against a team who has power, and hopefully they can hit with some guys on base here. So right now they are number 1 for me, even ahead of the team we'll talk about next, the Dodgers. And I've been playing so many Padres recently, so I'm firing them back up again tonight against Cahill.
Yeah, the lineup is great. I mean, it's considering, like you said with San Francisco, San Diego was one of those teams for the last few years we've just been like, there are a whole lot of on there, and they're never scary, and they don't have a lot of power hitters. And as long as you manage to get through 1 or 2 guys, you're going to have a good outing against them. That is no longer the case. They are strong up and down that lineup. And they just lost Eric Hosmer to the injured list, plus Tommy Pham, and they still have one of the better lineups out there. Speaking of one of the better lineups out there, it is going to be the Dodgers going against familiar foe Madsen Bumgarner, who has been awful this year. I think that's the technical term. He has allowed like 1 million home runs, 1 million earned runs, and this is year 1 of a 5-year, $85 million contract that he signed there with Arizona. The roof is going to be open. I would rather play Trevor Cahill than Madsen Bumgarner. Is that a fair statement? I don't even think that's a hot take right now.
No, that's not. I don't think that's a hot take. I mean, at least with Cahill, you've got, and like this is not an endorsement for him, but just relative to Bumgarner,
he might strike some people out.
Right, he might strike some people out. Like he has had good stuff, and he's going to get a bunch of righties. So there's at least what I see a decent path to success for Cahill. That's not like I wouldn't be shocked if he had a okay start here. Bumgarner, like you're seeing nothing from this guy. Projection, whether you look at projections or you look at his FanGraphs page, 15% K rate. I mean, he's just been getting lit up. And again, they've got 4 more years after this of this guy. 7,400. I don't even know how he gets that price against this Dodgers team with the massive total. They don't strike out a ton. Bumgarner can't get strikeouts. Unless they're just hitting balls right at people's gloves. It looks like this is going to be another rough one for him.
Yeah, and just for the quick numbers, he's allowed 9 home runs in 21 and a third innings, 15 strikeouts with 9 walks. The roof's going to be open. This is just going to be a disaster. On the other side, we have Dustin May, who the Ginger Syndergaard is his nickname. We've seen him on Pitching Ninja and various other sites showing us just the wicked breaking balls that he has and just how his fastball and the breaking balls kind of look so similar until they get, to where the batter has already had to commit to what he thinks it's going to be. But he doesn't get strikeouts. He gets, I don't understand how this works. Terry was analyzing it somewhat last night on the Early Bird. Do you have any takes on this at all? Because it's getting to be almost concerning at this point.
I mean, I don't have. I get so he's had one start with 8 strikeouts, but he just doesn't miss bats at all. Like, he looks good when he's pitching. I've seen him pitch
28 strikeouts in 40 innings.
Yeah,
that's not good. That's not Madison Bumgarner bad, but it's not good.
Yeah. Like, he's probably going to be one of those guys that's a better real life pitcher than DFS pitcher. Like, I don't see him as the guy that's going to get blown up all that often. He hasn't gotten blown up really at all this season. Actually, he hasn't allowed more
than 2 runs at all in any of his starts.
That's kind of crazy. But yeah, the strikeouts are concerning. Looking through his matchup series, had a couple against the Padres, 1 against Houston, 2 against Colorado, neither in Coors though. So you can't even say it's been that rough of matchups for him. You got Texas in there as well. Like, he just doesn't miss bats at a good rate. And if you don't do that, regardless of your price, as long as you're not 5K, it's really tough to justify playing this guy. Under 8% swinging strike rate for the season, gets an okay amount of chases, but the 2 in conjunction with each other are not great, those 2 numbers. So yeah, I don't think I'm playing many Diamondbacks tonight, but don't think I'm going to get to May either.
Yeah, the Dodgers are going to be right up there, and if people are going away from the Yankees, they're going to land on the Dodgers and the Padres. So Adam even said this on the earlier show this morning. He said if we lose that Yankees game, he said everybody's going to have the exact same lineups. So we'll see. Leverage plays. I believe he talked about it, and Terry wrote it up in the free article that you can get in Stack Slants. But they said if you're looking for a leverage play, go to the San Francisco hitters, particularly the top 5, going against Paddock, and that is especially true tonight. We've seen him be a little shaky. People are really going to have to congregate over there on him, depending on what their risk tolerance is for the weather. And it's just going to be a spot where if it goes sideways for him, you'll have a definite leg up on the field for there. Ron Reese would like some Animal House references. I would do that, but I am currently on double secret probation. Did you get that one, Jake?
So I know that, I think, from like some podcast or something. I didn't know. I couldn't tell you the movie, but I've heard that double secret probation.
They can't do that to our pledges. Only we can do that to our pledges. Could be here all day. You just keep coming back. You just keep throwing them at me. Like, I can't compete with that.
Okay, so do you have anything else? Otherwise, we can circle back to the Yankees.
No, let's circle back because they're asking here what percentage of the Yankees being postponed. I'm going to say it's 1 in 4 right now.
It's low. Without giving away like the actual
5?
number, not that it matters that much. Although 361 of you are watching and only 40 of you have liked this video. Ooh. So
if we get up to 75 likes, we will give you the actual number that Alex has currently as his projection for postponement in that game. It's got to get to above 70 though.
Yeah. At this point, I'm not concerned with Cole. But yeah, there is a non-zero number in there, so that's always gonna be a reason for pause. But he's just too good of a play, I think. And it's probably going to be offset by the amount of people that swap off of him if the slate were to lock right now. So we've got a half an hour or so to figure this out. Maybe they wait, maybe they don't. I'm willing to take that risk right now.
All right, we got up there. So I guess we should probably mention it. Would you like the honors, Jake?
For what? Oh, to tell them the number?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at 10 right now.
10-1-0. Now that's postponed. That doesn't mean delayed. So that means canceled. Finito.
So I wonder, and maybe if Alex is in the chat, is it better for them to delay first? Because, like, if they delay off the bat, then that probably means they're going to wait.
Well, let's lay it out again. So this is game 1 of a 4-game series. Ample time to do it. We don't have to deal with fans getting mad or having to come back for a second day. They're not going to wait around and try to get concession sales and all of that. They're going to wait around and try to screw DFS players. We have learned that from Major League Baseball this year, or it certainly feels like it. But there is no downside for them postponing it. Now, there does look like there's a break from like 8:30 or so on. I haven't refreshed the models yet. And what is it? The RR. The high resolution model should be coming into range now. I don't have access to any of them, but that's better than the what is it called? Than the radar, I guess. So you'll have better information coming in here shortly. But do you have access to that? I don't. So I don't know. But we've got an hour. So
yeah. Okay. This is good analysis here from Weatherman Alex. Delay is probably a reason to swap off. The weather will be best around first pitch, is what he's saying.
Okay, so that's different than what I had seen.
So there you go. And as far as pitching goes, yeah, if the slate locks at 6:40 Eastern on DK and FanDuel,
we still have 20 minutes, and we've got pitchers to go to.
You lose Alcantara, which I wouldn't be super happy about because he's kind of the cheap guy that I like in that range. But you still have guys you can swap to off of Cole. Like you could swap to Gray. You can go down to Paddock, re-optimize, whatever you need to do. You also could, if you wanted to wait, I don't necessarily recommend this, but if you wanted to play very aggressively, you could just X out that first game, and just wait as long as possible. And then you could re-optimize and re-upload everything. So you're just playing with a 5-game slate now. That's not the best way to play, but it is a way if you just wanted to wait as long as possible on the Cole news.
Except there's 2 640 games.
There's 2?
Yes.
Oh, my bad. Okay. I was thinking it was just the standalone Philly, Miami.
Yeah, no, Boston and Tampa Bay.
Got it. Okay.
Your analysis still holds, because the question is, you really don't want Kickham. How much do you want Fleming? If you guys are willing to go that route, then absolutely. What Jake is saying is
off the slate. And then if you end up knocking off that game too, if you knock off the Yankees game, if it looks bad, then you'd be knocking out half the slate. So maybe don't do that, but yeah, it's an idea, I guess.
All right, here's an idea. Check out the free primetime article for those of you. I mean, it's NFL tonight. We are 2 hours and 20 minutes, 2 hours and 10 minutes away from kickoff. It is literally right around the corner here. This is free on the Awesemo homepage. Check that out. That is courtesy of Alex Baker himself. Makes it possible for us to put up that stuff for free because he is benevolent. Hit the thumbs up. That helps us battle that evil Google or evil YouTube. We had so many things going on. The YouTube algorithm. But I've got a Yahoo article that's about to drop. They have a contest. It's a $500,000 baller. It is 57,000 entries, 150 max, $10 per entry. They do have CSV upload and edit capabilities. We're going to have a free article for that up tomorrow morning. And there's no way that contest fills more than 80%. You're definitely going to want to check that out. Even if you're just going to play 10 lineups over there, it's like you're playing 10 lineups rake-free. It does not get any better than that. And that's something that's very, very valuable. at this point in the season, we'll see you'll get stars in your eyes in some of these big contests, but you're better off chasing the overlay. Plus, that one is $100,000 prize. Who doesn't want to win $100,000?
Yeah, and that was overlay big last year. And there was going to be, there's a ton of tournaments on Yahoo that are probably going to overlay a little bit. So just keep your eye out for that Sunday morning. If you just save some of your total entry fees you're comfortable with, and I would imagine you're going to be able to find some pretty good deals if you're looking to play some NFL. And if you got the tools on the site, you're going to be ahead of a lot of the game. We live in this DFS bubble where we think everyone is smart and everyone's paying attention to ownership, and that's just not the case. There's a lot of people, especially for NFL, that make it so even someone like me can make money playing NFL. And I don't know anything. I just like watching it.
Yeah, disciplined approach is key. I was doing a couple best ball drafts this afternoon. I guess on DK they filled up the $1 million best ball contest because they took my ticket away before I got to use it. But I've been jumping in some of these others. Jake, people don't seem to care. It's not completely egregious, but almost every team has one or two picks that are just incredibly foolish, to the point of they're picking people in the 14th round. They had to reach to get these people. This wasn't what was coming up on the pick list. They had to reach to get people that have opted out for the season or who are already on injured reserve. And it even says in little red, C19, or it says, OPT for opt out. This is really? You're not even on auto draft. You had to actively scroll down, find that person, and click on it when it was your turn. What are you doing? So there is that. But we always get cocky, and then we're the ones that lose. And they're the ones that win. So.
Some guy non-stacked, probably draft a backup QB, and Fitzpatrick will win it in week 16 or whatever.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, I noticed the same thing with best balls. Man. You gotta feel good about it if you drafted yesterday, and if you spent all this time last month max entering, especially over on DK, and then they did that. I understand why people are upset. I get it.
It's to me, it's such a long shot anyway. Is that really going to be the reason you don't win? I would be more worried about 9 people getting together, allowing a super team to happen than.
Sure. Fair enough.
And this other stuff. But who knows? That's what Twitter was invented for, to air our grievances. All right. We are going to wrap this up. Now, you guys are going to want to jump on the next stream. It's not a continuous one tonight, but we're going to have NBA Live Before Lock. And then again, you're going to have the boss man himself, Alex Baker, will be taking you up to the NFL Live Before Lock. That's right. We are now 2 hours and 6 minutes away from kickoff. It's finally here. But with that, you can follow Jake Hari at
Jake Hari.
No DFS. Very sad. I'm at EMac DFS. And of course, it is Awesemo _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.